On July 22nd, 2012, Adam Scott had one of the worst collapses in golf history. He blew a 4-shot lead at the Open Championships with only 4 holes left to play, and missed a short par putt on 18 that would have sent him to a playoff. Scott had been one of the best golfers in the world for the last 5 years, and had a decade of experience under his belt. But his best chance to win a major just went down in flames, and it looked as though he'd never be the same. And this is just 8 months later.
There it is! Adam Scott! A life changer.
Looking at Adam Scott's career today, it's easy to see why he's one of the most well-respected golfers on tour. He's won 14 PGA Tour events throughout his career, amassing over $60 million in prize money, and currently holds the record for the second most consecutive major tournaments attended at 92, behind only golf legend Jack Nicklaus. But without his Masters win in 2013, Adam Scott may have had a much sadder reputation. Born in Adelaide, Australia, Scott started golfing from a very young age. He joined the Golf Australia national squad when he was just 16 years old, and managed to win the Australian Amateur Open 2 straight years in 1997 and 98. This success got him a scholarship to the University of Nevada, where he continued to play until turning pro in 2000. Like most international pros, Scott started his career primarily on the European Tour. He won his first professional tournament in 2001, beating fellow youngster Justin Rose in a playoff at the Dunhill Championship in South Africa. He'd pick up another 2 trophies on the European Tour in 2002, before making his first major appearance at the Masters. Scott shot even par or better in all 4 rounds and finished tied for 9th with a score of -3. After the tournament, Scott made the switch to the PGA Tour and pushed his way into the top 50 of the world rankings for the first time. His first victory on the tour came in 2003 at the Deutsche Bank Championship. Scott shot a course record 62 in the second round and won the tournament by 4 strokes. But his big breakout performance came in 2004 at the Players' Championship. Scott took the lead right away with a first-round score of 65 and never looked back, claiming the biggest non-major trophy on the PGA Tour. But it didn't come without a scare. Holding a 2-shot lead on the final hole, Scott's approach shot landed in the water and put him in a very tricky position. Fortunately, he'd get up and in for bogey, finishing it off with a tricky 10-foot putt for the win.
Great Scott. It's Adam's day at Sawgrass, and the young Australian is the Players' Champion.
The next few years of Scott's career were up and down. He continued to win European and PGA Tour trophies, including a Tour Championship victory in 2006 and an Australian Open title in 2008. He reached a peak of number 3 on the official world rankings, but a myriad of injuries and inconsistent play kept Scott from joining the upper echelon of professionals. So, Adam Scott made a huge change to his golf game. While his drives and approach shots were top-notch, Scott struggled on the green, looking very awkward and hunched over when putting. Because of this, Scott decided to switch to a broomstick putter, which let him stand up straighter and improve his consistency on the green. And the change seemed to work. At the 2011 Masters, Scott was in the hunt along with 4 other players in the final round. He momentarily held the lead on the 17th hole, but ultimately finished tied for second as Charles Schwartzel birdied the last 4 holes to win. Scott won the 2011 Bridgestone Invitational with a bogey-free 65 in the final round, followed by a 7th place finish at the PGA Championships and an 8th place at the 2012 Masters. Scott re-entered the top 10 of the golf rankings, and with 2 more top 15 placements at the PGA and US Open, Scott looked poised to make a run at the 2012 Open Championships. The tournament took place at Royal Lytham and St. Anne's Golf Club, regarded as one of the toughest courses in Europe. But that didn't faze Adam Scott, as he tied the course record with a first round of 64, taking sole possession of the lead. He'd increased his advantage to -11, holding a 4-stroke lead over Brandt Snedeker and Graham McDowell heading into the final round. A shaky start on the front nine put Adam Scott back to -9, but the rest of the field struggled as well, and his lead temporarily increased to 5 strokes. After a stretch of 9 pars, Scott birdied the 14th to get back to -10.
Finally, you might want to give him the cushion. There it is. Big moment.
Very big moment for the young fella.
All his competitors had dropped back below -5, giving Scott a comfortable cushion to cruise to victory. Well, all except Ernie Els. Ernie was sitting at -3 after 9 holes, but sank 4 birdies on the back 9, including one on the last hole to finish his round at -7. Scott held a 4-stroke lead with just 4 holes to play, but his nerves started to get to him. On the 15th, Scott's approach shot hooked wide and ended up in the bunker. His third shot put him to within 10 feet of the hole, but he was unable to sink the par putt and dropped back to -9. But Scott recovered on 16, getting on the green in 2 and setting himself up for a long birdie putt. But after a shaky birdie attempt that left him 3 feet away, Scott's par putt lipped out, setting him back to -8 with just 2 holes remaining.
That is purely nerves. That's all it is.
After a perfect drive on 17, Scott's approach shot got an unlucky bounce and dropped into the deep rough. He managed to get it on the green with his chip, but missed the lengthy par putt yet again, and found himself back at -7, tied with Ernie Els heading into the final hole. Adam Scott's meltdown continued, as his drive on the 18th hole landed him deep into a fairway bunker. He was forced to pitch out sideways, and left himself about 150 yards to the green. But his third shot was fantastic, putting him just 8 feet from the hole.
He's trying. It's a super golf shot, and there it is, the putt to tie.
Adam Scott had the chance to save his par and force a playoff with Ernie Els, but he just couldn't make the putt.
And there it is, Adam Scott. Ernie Els wins. Congratulations, Ernie, and Adam Scott's going to be scarred for life.
It was a total collapse in every part of his game. Easy missed putts, bad drives, and a few shaky approach shots cost Adam Scott his chance at a major trophy. He bogeyed the last 4 holes in a row to lose to Ernie Els by just 1 stroke. Scott was visibly shocked after the final missed putt, but handled the loss well, and even stayed to answer questions at the post-round press conference.
I'm very disappointed, but look, I played so beautifully for most of the week. I certainly shouldn't let this bring me down.
Although he lost the tournament, Scott showed grace in defeat and gained a lot of fans in the process. Adam Scott continued his strong play for the rest of the year, placing 11th at the PGA Championships and winning the Australian Masters in November, where he donned the gold jacket for his victory. But little did he know, Adam Scott was just months away from adding another jacket to his collection. Heading into the 2013 Masters, Adam Scott sat at 7th place in the world and looked like a top contender to win the tournament, shooting 3 under on day 1 and even par on day 2 to keep him 3 shots back of the lead. On Saturday, Scott shot a bogey-free 69 to push him to -6, just 1 shot back of co-leaders Brandt Snedeker and Angel Cabrera going into the final round. Championship Sunday was a cold and rainy day, and it didn't start off well for Scott. He hooked his drive on the very first hole way into the trees, and bogeyed the hole after a weak par putt. However, he managed to recover quickly on the third with an extremely long putt for birdie.
Oh, yes.
Scott played solid golf and parred the next 9 holes, staying in contention at -6, only ever 2 or 3 shots back to the lead. But on the 13th hole, it looked like another disaster moment for Adam Scott. His approach shot came up a bit short and bounced awkwardly on the front green. It slowly trickled down towards the creek, but hung up in the rough right before dropping in. It was a lucky break for sure, but Scott took full advantage, chipping it close and tapping in for birdie to get to -7.
That'll help.
This good fortune was crucial, as just a few minutes later, tournament leader Angel Cabrera sliced his approach shot right into the creek. He'd bogeyed the hole and dropped down to -7, tying for the lead with Adam Scott and fellow Australian Jason Day. After another birdie putt that just lipped out, Scott set himself up nicely for an eagle at the 15th. He would miss the long putt, but save the birdie to keep himself in second at -8. Thankfully, Jason Day bogeyed back-to-back holes to give Scott the temporary lead. But Angel Cabrera sank a beautiful putt at 16 to get up to -8 as well.
Yes!
Just like in the Open Championships 8 months prior, Adam Scott went into the last hole of the Masters, tied for the lead. His tee shot was almost a horrific repeat, coming within 3 feet of another bunker. His approach shot was solid, but left him with a long 25-foot putt for birdie. Scott had played well the entire day, but wasn't able to sink the crucial putts he needed to take control of the Masters. This time, however, Adam Scott stepped up under pressure.
Could be the biggest moment of his career.
Adam Scott. Yes! Unreal.
Adam Scott finished his final round with an emphatic birdie putt and pushed him into the lead at -9. His Masters victory seemed to be certain. Cabrera needed to birdie the 18th like Scott to force a playoff, something he had never managed to do in 10 career starts. But as the harsh rain poured down on the Argentinian, Cabrera came up with some magic of his own.
Oh my goodness, what a golf shot.
Just outside of 2 feet away.
Good heavens.
Cabrera's approach shot landed right beside the hole, and he tapped in for birdie to force a playoff with Adam Scott. Unfortunately for Scott, Cabrera had some playoff experience at Augusta. In 2009, Cabrera won his first green jacket in a 3-man playoff against Chad Campbell and Kenny Perry. He saved an incredible par on the first playoff hole, and then outlasted Kenny Perry on the 10th to get his first major win.
Cabrera takes the green jacket.
Adam Scott's only real experience with major pressure was at the Open Championships, and that turned into one of the worst collapses of all time. If there was any moment for redemption, this was it. In the first playoff hole, both players had great drives off the tee, setting themselves up nicely for their approach shot. Scott chunked his second shot slightly, and his ball couldn't stay up on the green, trickling down into the fairway below. Cabrera had the chance to put some pressure on, but his approach shot met the same fate, and his ball rolled right down the hill beside Scott's. Cabrera's third shot was almost perfect, as his chip rolled an inch past the hole and would have won him the tournament.
What a shot. What a try.
Wow. Gorgeous touch.
Wow.
Scott put his chip just as close, and both players sank the par putt and moved on to the second playoff hole on the 10th. After 2 solid drives, both players managed to drop their approach shot to within 15 feet of the hole, setting up a putt-off for the trophy. Angel Cabrera stepped up first.
See the beautiful putt.
Oh,
rise above the hole.
It was a beautiful putt, but his ball stopped dead an inch above the hole, giving Adam Scott a chance to win the Masters with his birdie putt. He could right his wrongs from the Open Championships right here. Scott already sank a long putt on 18 to get here, and just needed one more shot to become the first Australian to ever win the Masters. Just one more good putt, and all would be forgotten.
There it is, Adam Scott. A life changer.
The relief and excitement was written all over Adam Scott's face. He claimed his first major trophy in one of the most exciting Masters finishes in history. In his post-round interview, Scott paid tribute to his childhood hero and fellow Aussie Greg Norman for inspiring him to pick up the game of golf.
There was one guy who inspired a nation of golfers, and that's Greg Norman. And you know, he's been incredible to me and all the young golfers in Australia, and you know, part of this definitely belongs to him.
In the span of just 8 months, Adam Scott completely rewrote his legacy. He went from an underachiever who would collapse on the biggest stages to an all-time performer who could step up and sink a putt when it mattered most. He battled through the cold and the rain to earn himself the most prestigious award in golf, and no one can take that away from him.